for educational use only. Our group is allowing our instructor, Mr. Roldan Ardines, to use as an educational material. Good day, everyone. We are the Group 3 and we are talking about the self from the perspectives of sociology. And I am personally talking about the definition of sociology. What is sociology? Sociology refers how sociologists studies and understand the human behavior and relationships and societal structure. It highlights that individuals are shaped by their social environment and in turn play a role in shaping society. So sociology focuses on two levels of analysis. First is macro level structure, like institutions, cultures, and social systems which influence society as a whole. Micro level interaction, like personal relationship and everyday communication, which shape individual experience. And there are three main perspectives in sociology. First is structure functionalism. View society as a system where all parts work together to maintain stability in order institutions like family, education, and government. Each serve a specific function that contribute the societal well-being. For example, school educate individuals and preparing them to contribute to our society. Number 2, conflict theory emphasizes inequality power struggle, arguing the societal structure often benefits some group at the expenses of others. For instance, wealth gap between the rich and poor reflects unequal access to resource and opportunity. Third is symbolic interactionalism, focuses on how people create and interpret meaning through social interaction. These perspectives value system, language, and rule in shaping understand. For example, a handshake might symbolize respect or agreement, depending on the culture context. In summary, the sociological perspective helps us see how personal experience are shaped by broader social force and promote critical thinking about societies operate and how individuals fit within the structure, offering valuable insight into human behavior and social organization.
The self as a product of modern society, among other constructions. Modernization has significantly changed society, and this has affected how individuals build and develop their identities. In pre-modern society, life was centered on survival. People followed social rules and traditions, with families and the immediate environment providing the guidance needed to navigate life. Choices were limited. People didn't have the freedom to decide where to live, what work to do, or whom to marry. In other words, your life was largely determined by your family and community. For instance, if your family were blacksmiths, you were expected to follow that trade. With modernization, people's living conditions improved, and they gained the freedom to choose where to live, what to do, and who to associate with. However, this freedom came at a cost. Traditional systems like family and religion have declined in importance. Now, individualism is dominant, and people are responsible for creating their own identities. Think of today's world. Someone born into a family might grow up to be a software developer, musician, or entrepreneur. But the focus on individualism can feel overwhelming as traditional support systems aren't as strong. There are four most patent major characteristics of modernity, according to Giddens. 1. Industrialism. Industrialism refers to social relationship built on the use of material power and machinery and production. Think about factories during the Industry Revolution, which replaced small-scale farming. Today, it's seen in how machines and AI automate production, creating faster and larger-scale output. For example, automation in industries like car manufacturing, has revolutionized production, make process more efficient. Number two, capitalism. Capitalism is a system focused on competitive market and the communication of goods and services, essentially putting a price tag on everything. This means even personal skills or experience can be sold as products. For example, brands like Nike don't just sell shoes, they sell the idea of success and athleticism. For example, a personal trainer charging for fitness coaching online, showing how modern society commodifies services. Number three, institution of surveillance. This refers to the increasing power of governments and institutions to monitor and regulate individuals. In modern society, surveillance is everywhere, from CCTV cameras in public space to social media platforms tracking users' behavior. For example, governments use systems like facial recognition technology for security purposes, but it also raises concerns about privacy. Lastly, number four, the dynamism. Dynamism is the vigorous activity and rapid change seen in modern life. It highlights the endless responsibility and unpredictability of society. Today's world is fast-paced. People switch careers, adapt to new technologies, and even face global shifts, like remote work after the pandemic. Example, consider how quickly businesses transitioned to online platforms during the pandemic, showing society's adaptability to change. To summarize, modernization has brought freedom and opportunities, but it has also created challenges like instability and the weakening of traditional support systems. In modern society, individuals must navigate a world of constant change while building their own identities. This means that while we enjoy our choices, we also bear the responsibility of shaping our paths, which can be both empowering and daunting.
Social groups. George Simmel expressed that people create social networks by joining social groups. Social groups is described as having two or more people interacting with one another, sharing similar characteristics, and whose members identify themselves as part of the group. Example: family, friends, and classmates. Social networks refers to the ties or connections that link you to your social group. Example: the connection you have with your family is blood relation. The connection you have with your barkada is your friendship. The connection you have with your classmate is the common interest in team.
Mead and the social self. George Herbert Mead's social self theory explains that individuals develop their sense of self through social interactions. He argued that the self is not innate, but formed over time by observing others and internalizing both external perspectives and personal views. Through social experiences, people shape their identity and understand their role in society.
Developing the self. George Mead developed a concept that proposed different stages of self-development. These stages are language, play, and game. According to Mead, self-development and language are innately tied through shared understanding of symbols, gestures, and sound. Language gives the individual the capacity to express himself or herself at the same time, comprehending what the other peoples are conveying. Language sets the stage for self-development. So the example of the first stage, this is where the kids are copying on what others are doing. Like for example, close open hands. If you do the close and open in front of a kid, definitely the kid will do the same, right? The second stage for self-development is play. At this level, individual role-play or assume the perspective of the others. Role-playing enables the person to internalize some other people's perspectives. He or she develops an understanding of how the people feel about themselves in a variety of situations. The example of this is where the children pretend to play the role of a particular or significant other, usually the parents. As you recall back when you were a kid, you played the game of being a parent, where you are the father and she is the mother, and you both try to imitate and internalize the rules and pretend to be them. That is included in the play stage. Did you guys get the point? The third stage is the game stage. This is the level where the individual not only internalize the other people's perspectives, he or she is also be able to take into account societal rules and adheres to it. According to Mead, The self is developed by understanding the rule, and one must abide by it to win the game or successfully at an activity. So in the game stage, this is where we play and organize games and take on the perspectives of the generalized others. It means not just the people that's close to us. Example of this stage is when we play team games and we internalize the different rules. Like for example, I will catch you, you run as fast as you can, and if I'll catch you, you'll do the same way to me. So here, we learn the rules and internalize the rule and then we use that. You got it? So there are two sides of self, the I and me. The I and me are concepts introduced by sociologist George Herbert Mead to explain the two aspects of the self. So, I. This represents the spontaneous, active, and creative aspect of the self. It is the part that responds to the environment and acts on impulses without considering societal expectations. The I reflects individuality and personal desires, while the other hand, me, this represents the socialized aspect of the self, shaped by societal norms, expectations, and interactions with others. It reflects how individuals see themselves from the perspective of the generalized other or society as a whole. Together, the I and me form a dynamic interplay where the I initiates action and the me evaluates it based on societal expectations. These interactions help individuals navigate and adapt to social context. Next one, individual self versus collective self. So first, what is individual self? This refers to a person's unique traits, personal characteristics, and sense of individuality. It is about how you see yourself as distinct from others, focusing on personal goals, preferences, and achievements. While the other hand, collective self, this pertains to a person's identity as part of a group, such as family, community, or culture. It emphasizes shared values, group memberships, and collective goals, where the self is defined in a relation to others and the group's identity. Both dimensions interact and shape how people behave in personal and social contexts.
Good day everyone, I'm Dick Cadet Janaivan Harabi, and today we'll explore the concept of individualism and collectivism, two contrasting ways of understanding the self in relation to society. First, let's discuss individualism. In individualistic cultures, the self is primarily identified as an independent entity. This means the needs and goals of the individual take precedence over those of the group. Individualists value independence, self-reliance, and personal achievement. Success is often seen as a result in own efforts, and groups membership is viewed as a choice rather than a necessity. People in individualistic settings tend to maintain emotional and psychological distance from others, focusing more on their own aspirations and responsibilities. Interestingly, this mindset is often associated with men and urban populations where diversity and competition thrive. Now, let's turn to collectivism. In collectivist cultures, one's identity is closely tied for the role and membership within a group, such as a family or community. The group's well-being is prioritized as it ensures the survival and success of its members. Harmony, interdependence, and loyalty are highly valued in collectivity settings. People are often emotionally close to their in-group members but maintains distance from outsiders. Collectivism is typically linked with women and rural communities where traditions and tight-knit social networks play a significant role. To better understand these cultural orientations, researchers use the individualism-collectivism scale. This tool measures the extent to which someone values independence and personal uniqueness versus their duty to groups and the importance of harmony. Interestingly, these values aren't mutually exclusive. A person can score highly in both, reflecting a balanced perspective. This balance is especially relevant in today's globalized and multicultural world where we navigate both personal and collective identities. In conclusion, understanding individualism and collectivism helps us appreciate diverse perspectives on identity and behavior. Whether we lean toward independence or interdependence, both play a vital role in shaping who we are and how we contribute to society. Thank you.
Are you self-oriented or family-oriented? If you don't know which one are you, come on, let's discuss what is self-oriented and family-oriented. Self-oriented is also known as individualism. To let you know more deeper, individualism is a social and philosophical concept. It advocates that each person is unique, free to pursue their own goals, make their own decisions, and express their identity. Self-oriented is very similar to family-oriented. Family-oriented refers to placing a high value on family, relationships, and responsibility. It refers to the well-being and needs of family members, such as parents, children, and extended family. Now, are you self-oriented or family-oriented? Cross-cultural values have become an important part of organizational life caused by globalization. It refers to the shared belief, norms, and practices. Values can either be similar or different depending on cultural context, influence how people from various backgrounds interact with each other. Collectivism is a social, cultural, and political philosophy over the individual. I'll give you 5 examples of cross-cultural values so that you will have an idea. First is the respect the authority. Second is the individual and collectivism, as we discussed earlier. Third is the time orientation. Fourth is the communication states. And lastly, work and life balance. Self-assessment estimates your level of your individualism and collectivism scale. Present separate values that are generally unrelated to each other. Scale has a potential score ranging 8 to 10 points. Higher scores indicate that the person has high level of each cross-cultural value.
Individualism, a philosophical, social, and cultural viewpoint that emphasizes each person's autonomy, individuality, and self-determination, is known as individualism. It highlights that every individual has instinct, worth, the freedom to make their own decision, and the ability to follow their own interests and objectives, often without interference from social norms or collective expectation. Fundamentality, individualism value individual liberty, creative and self-expression, and frequency support little intervention from outside authorities like institution, government, or neighborhood association. It is defined by the idea that people need to be free to explore their own potential and identities while also accepting accountability from their own deeds, accomplishment, and mistake.
Collectivism refers to the extent that we value our duty to our group to which we belong and to our group harmony. Collectivism values groups cohesion and loyalty. Group cohesion and loyalty describe the strong bond and commitment members feel toward their group. And interdependency describe the mutual reliance between two or more things. Over individual desires in collectivist culture, and people prioritize responsibility to family, community, or team, emphasizing harmony and shared success. Decisions are made with the group well-being in mind, and personal achievement contribute to the group goals. This contrasts with individualism, which focuses on personal goals and independency.
So, in conclusion, the sociological perspective sees the self as shaped by social interactions rather than something innate. Theories like Mead's social self explains that identity develops through relationships, experiences, and societal influences. This view highlights how individuals and society continuously shape each other, emphasizing the dynamic nature of personal identity. So that's all. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something.